This is a training area, not a tourist zone. An officer turns to address a woman standing quietly at the edge of the training field. Small frame, shoulder-length hair. She just nods, says nothing. But when the wind lifts her sleeve, it reveals a tattoo. Underwater waves curling around the code E29V. The SEAL commander just walks over, sees it, and immediately freezes. Aaron Veal, 33 years old, small build, short brown hair to shoulders, calm eyes. That day, she only came to the training ground to watch her little brother's first sniper training session. Wearing a thin jacket, sunglasses, nobody pays attention to her except curious glances from a few recruits. A lieutenant turns to remind her, "This area isn't for visitors without clearance. Please move behind the barrier." She nods, stands up gently, pulls her sleeve down. A recruit blurted out laughing. This lady probably thinks she's in a movie, watching SEAL teams trained like those TikTok videos. The other recruits snicker. One of them whispers loud enough for her to hear. Bet she's here trying to get Instagram photos with real SEALs. Erin doesn't react. She just adjusts her position behind the barrier, hands clasped quietly in front of her. "Ma'am," another officer approaches. "Civilian observation is only allowed during designated public demonstrations. This is active training." Um, I understand," Aaron says softly. "I'm just here for my brother. He's nervous about his first qualification test." The officer looks skeptical. "Which recruit is your brother?" "Tommy Veal. He's the one with the shaky hands on the Barrett." The officer glances over at a young man struggling with a massive rifle. "Yeah, well, maybe you should wait in the parking lot. He needs to focus." "Of course," Erin replies, but she doesn't move. She just watches quietly as her brother fumbles with the weapon setup. A sergeant nearby shakes his head. "These family members always think they can just show up and watch. This isn't a little league game." "Right," another recruit agrees. "My sister tried the same thing. Had to tell her this is serious business, not entertainment." Erin hears every word. Her jaw tightens slightly, but she maintains her composure. When Tommy drops the bipod for the third time, she can see his confidence crumbling. The instructors are getting impatient. "Maybe I should go," she murmurs to herself. But then Tommy looks over at her with desperate eyes, the same look he had when he was 8 and couldn't ride his bike. She stays. "Ma'am, I'm going to have to ask you to leave," the lieutenant says more firmly. "You're becoming a distraction." "I'm not talking to anyone," Aaron protests gently. "I'm just standing here." "Your presence is affecting the recruit's performance. He keeps looking over here instead of focusing on his weapon." TTA Comment Act 1. Have you ever seen someone get underestimated, then silence an entire crowd? Type, "I've witnessed this." When a trainee accidentally drops an M82 rifle, Aaron frowns and steps forward to pick it up, adjusting the hand position and says quietly, "Left hand, closer to the stock. Pull your shoulder back, wind's coming from the right." The trainee grins awkwardly. "You know how to use an M82? Aaron gently adjusts her sleeve, correcting the position. Then a TAC-2 emerges, tactical code E29V with a black spiral wave symbol. A nearby instructor immediately falls silent. Right then, SEAL Commander Alan Reeves steps out, reviewing reports. He happens to glance over, sees the tattoo on Aaron's arm, and freezes completely. His voice trembles slightly. "Aaron Vale? E29V? The sniper position? Responsible for Operation Silent Vortex in 2012? Aaron nods. The entire training field goes quiet. Commander Reeves approaches slowly, like he's seeing a ghost. "Ma'am, you're supposed to be classified." "I am classified," Aaron says simply. "That's why I'm not on any active rosters." "But you're here." "My brother's here. I came to watch him qualify." The commander looks at Tommy, who's staring wide-eyed at his sister. "Your brother, Tommy Veal? He's been talking about becoming a SEAL since he was 12. I wanted to see if he had what it took. Commander Reeves' voice drops to almost a whisper. E-29V? Operation Silent Vortex? You made that shot? I made a shot, Aaron corrects. In the rain, at 740 meters with a crosswind. Nothing special. Nothing special? The commander's voice rises. You saved my entire team. We were pinned down in that canyon for 6 hours. Command had written us off. The recruits and instructors are now gathering around, sensing something significant is happening. Ma'am, a young female recruit asks, what's Operation Silent Vortex? Commander Reeves answers before Aaron can. Classified. Operation deep in enemy territory. My team was trapped in a narrow canyon surrounded by hostiles on elevated positions. He looks directly at Aaron. We called for air support, but weather conditions made it impossible. Satellites couldn't get a clear picture through the storm. So what happened? Another recruit asks. A guardian angel, the commander says. Someone took out 7 targets from an impossible position in conditions that would challenge our best snipers. Aaron shifts uncomfortably. Ma'am, this isn't necessary. It is necessary, he interrupts. These recruits need to understand what real excellence looks like. He turns to address the entire group. This woman saved 6 Navy SEALs with 7 shots in a thunderstorm from a position that our intel said was impossible to reach. How is that possible? Tommy asks, his voice barely audible. Aaron looks at her brother. Because sometimes impossible is just another word for necessary. The commander nodded slowly. After the operation, she disappeared, refused commendation, refused recognition, said she was just doing her job. Because I was, Aaron says. You would have done the same for me. Ma'am, with respect, none of us could have made those shots. What you did was legendary. A heavy silence falls over the training ground. Is that why you left? A sergeant asks. Because it was too much? Erin shakes her head. I left because the mission was over, and because I never wanted to take another life unless it was absolutely necessary. Commander Reeves studies her face. And was it necessary? Yes, Erin says without hesitation. Because good men were going to die if I didn't act. TTA comment Act 2. Have you ever thought someone was ordinary, then one small detail made you freeze? Type, I was stunned. Aaron was once a support sniper for the covert Silent Vortex operation, operating under temporary orders, not in official ranks, because she was only air support backup. In that operation, she took down targets from 740 meters in rain and wind conditions, in a mountain canyon, saving an entire trapped SEAL team. After the mission, she requested discharge, declined medals, only kept the tattoo as a reminder. Her records are no longer in the system, only handwritten internal files kept in hard copy at CLHQ. Commander Reeve orders the entire training field to cease fire. The person who was just asked to leave this area is the reason I and 6 men are still alive today. The trainees, including those who had mocked her earlier, all bow their heads. Let me tell you exactly what happened, Commander Reeve continues, his voice carrying across the silent field. July 15th, 2012. My team was inserted into hostile territory for a reconnaissance mission. Intel said we had a clear extraction route. He pauses, looking at each face in the crowd. We were wrong. 30 minutes into the mission, we walked into a kill box. Enemy fighters on both sides of the canyon. Elevated positions, perfect crossfire. The recruits listen intently. We were trapped for 6 hours. No air support because of the storm, no satellite coverage because of the clouds. Command couldn't even confirm our position. He points to Erin, who stands quietly with her arms crossed. She was stationed 2 kilometers away, providing overwatch for the extraction route. When she lost contact with us, she made a decision. What decision? Tommy asks. She left her assigned position and moved to a location that military doctrine says is impossible to reach, a cliff face in a thunderstorm with enemy patrols below. Commander Reeves' voice gets quieter, more intense. From that position, she had to make shots that would challenge the best snipers in the world through rain, wind, and limited visibility. How many shots? A female recruit asks. 7 shots. 7 targets, 7 direct hits, in conditions that would make most people unable to see their own hand. Erin finally speaks. I had good equipment and motivation. Ma'am, a young Marine asks, how did you know where to position yourself? I studied the terrain for 3 weeks before the mission. I knew every rock, every tree, every possible line of sight. But the weather conditions were terrible, Erin admits. I could barely see the targets, had to calculate wind speed by watching the rain patterns. Commander Reeves nods. She saved our lives with what Command later called the most difficult series of shots in modern warfare. Then why isn't she famous? Tommy asked. Because she refused to be, the commander explains. After the operation, she requested immediate discharge, said she never wanted to kill anyone again unless it was absolutely necessary. But you were protecting us, a sergeant points out. I was, Erin agrees, and I'd do it again. But taking a life, even to save lives, changes you. I wanted to go home and remember who I was before I became a weapon. The commander looks directly at the recruits who had mocked her earlier. This is why we respect everyone who comes to this base. You never know who you're talking to. Sir? One of the recruits who had laughed at her steps forward. I owe you an apology, ma'am. I was completely out of line. Erin nods. You couldn't have known. But remember this feeling next time you meet someone you don't understand. Ma'am, a female trainee asks, do you ever regret leaving? Never, Erin says firmly. I did what I was trained to do. I saved good people, and then I went home to live a normal life. But you still have the tattoo, Commander Reeves observes. Erin touches her arm gently. Because I never want to forget the weight of those decisions, or the faces of the men I brought home. The commander turns to Tommy. Your sister is a hero, son, in the truest sense of the word. Tommy stares at Erin with new eyes. Sis, I had no idea. That was the point, Erin says with a small smile. Heroes don't need to announce themselves. CTA comment. Act 3. If you've ever forgotten someone who did the right thing without anyone knowing their name, write, I remember them. Erin doesn't reclaim her rank, doesn't appear in public. I just came to watch my brother's first qualification. I didn't expect my past to be recognized. She stays to watch Tommy complete his signer training. With her quiet guidance, he passes with flying colors. Breathe out halfway, hold, squeeze gently, she whispers to him during his final test. Tommy nailed his target from 300 meters. His hands are steady now, after that day. The SEAL commander writes a special note on the training range bulletin board. If someone quiet corrects your aim, listen carefully. They might be the person who once protected your back in the darkness. A group of female recruits start printing the code E29V on their training notebooks. Nobody at the training ground jokes about people who just came to watch anymore. When Erin prepares to leave, something extraordinary happens. Every person on the training field, instructors, recruits, support staff, forms 2 lines, creating a path to the exit. Nobody ordered this. Nobody organized it. They just did it. As she walks between the lines, each person salutes, not because they have to, but because they want to. Tommy walks beside her, his chest puffed with pride. "Sis, that was incredible." "No," Aaron corrects gently. "That was necessary. There's a difference." At the gate, the young recruit who had mocked her earlier approaches. "Ma'am, I learned something today. I won't forget it." "What did you learn?" Aaron asks. "That heroes don't always look like heroes. Sometimes they look like someone's big sister." Aaron smiles. "Remember that lesson. It'll serve you well." As she drives away, Tommy in the passenger seat, she notices him staring at her tattoo. "Does it hurt?" he asks. "Getting it? No. Remembering why I got it? Sometimes." "Do you regret it?" Aaron considers this. "I regret that it was necessary, but I don't regret doing it." 6 months later, Tommy graduates at the top of his SEAL class. During his speech, he mentions his sister, not by name, but by example. "I learned that true strength isn't about what you can do, it's about what you choose to do when everything depends on you." The instructor who trained him knows exactly who he's talking about. And sometimes late at night, when new recruits ask about the E29V codes they see around the base, the older SEALs tell them, "That's a reminder that legends walk among us," and most of them prefer to stay quiet. CTA comment. Act 4. Type, "I will live with respect," if you believe real heroes never introduce themselves. Erin just came to watch. She demanded nothing. She mentioned no achievements. But a small tattoo, etched in special ink, made a SEAL commander freeze, stand at attention, and fall silent. Don't underestimate the person standing on the sidelines. They might have once kept your entire team alive in the rain without ever telling anyone about it. The most powerful people often hide in plain sight. They don't need recognition because they know their worth isn't measured by who knows their name. It's measured by who's alive because of what they did in the darkness. Next time you see someone watching quietly from the corner, remember they might be the guardian angel who saved lives while you were sleeping safely in your bed. And the next time you're tempted to judge someone by their appearance, look closer. Sometimes the most extraordinary people are the ones who choose to look ordinary. Because true heroes don't need to prove themselves to anyone. They already proved it when it mattered most.